Good morning, everybody. I hope you are staying warm in these crazy winter months. A number of records have been set in consecutive days of cold and inches of snow. Seeing snowmen on the beach in Florida was humorous. But I know that it's not easy for some people. I don't know if we're back to normal yet. We had a lot of school closures. Excuse me while I throw the ball for Kitty. Here he goes. For the most part, I don't have any problem with roads. The main road coming out of here had some crushed snow where you drive over it that was hanging around, but most of it was gone yesterday afternoon. And I think that right now it's frozen again, so whatever's out there, I think it was 16 when I got up, and I haven't been up that long. Kitty's still running. So anyhow, I pray that those having to deal with this. I'm reminded of the folks in North Carolina that were moved out of their homes that were destroyed into trailers and tents, that they are hopefully staying warm. And there's a couple more fires started in California. These are deliberate. California knows that their time as a socialist cesspool is over. And so they're going to burn the place to the ground, say, fine, we're out of here, you can have what's left. That's what they're doing. Evil, evil people. They're trying to recall Newsom again. But they got to get, one of the things Trump hasn't done yet is we're going to talk about what he's done. He hasn't signed a law making voter ID mandatory in all 50 states. All the proper states have already done that, but all the socialist states haven't. They want anybody to be able to sign up and vote. That's why they brought millions of people across the border illegally, so they could vote. And in California, they've got control by having enough people vote, whether they are dead or alive, exist or not, it doesn't matter. They count until they get the win for them. All right, so there's a number of things accomplished in the first week. We're going to kind of look at the first week. He's still got 4 years yet, but these are the things that's going on so far since Trump's inauguration. He had to basically have his team put a lot of this stuff together ahead of time, because when he sat down, he started signing. Now, I think he's up to like 40 or 50 things that executive orders he signed. I'm trying to find an exact count, and I couldn't find it. I had to look a number of different places. So the information I'm giving you is stuff that I got off of the internet from either AP, the press, or individual websites. Wall Street, whatever. So for his first day executive orders, these are things that he signed when he first sat down. These come in a nice, they spend a lot of money on this stuff. Come in a nice little black booklet that he opens up. He takes out pens, and a lot of times what he does is he'll sign his name with multiple pens, and then he hands the pens out to people that are there. Especially if he's got somebody there that's a victim of something that he's abolishing or stopping. So, we'll take a look at what he's done so far. He withdrew the U.S. from the World Health Organization. That's Klaus Schwab's, it's not even socialist, I will say communist takeover of the world. Their Agenda 2030, where they wanted to completely take over the world. Stop the hiccups by 2030. So we withdrew from that. We shouldn't have even been part of that. That was Biden, but Biden was one that went, he's biting me. Stop biting me. I'm going to put you up here and let him see you and that you're biting me. Okay, the World Economic Forum. Klaus Schwab, his father worked directly for Hitler in munitions manufacturing. So we don't belong in anything that he's doing. Get out from there. Okay. It's warm in here even though it's cold outside. Thank God for new dwelling. Okay, he's rolled back federal recognition of any genders outside male or female. And we read out of Genesis where God only created two. He froze new regulations hiring federal workers. He's firing a lot. He's fired a general. He's firing people that basically lied to try to set him up, claiming this Russian hoax. That's Kitty running around chasing the ball. So he's cleaning house, and a lot of people are just resigning. He fired a couple of people from Georgia who came out immediately. He said, "You can't fire me. I already quit." As they say when they're walking out, don't let the door hit you on the way out. He funded the Department of Government Efficiency. That's where Elon Musk will be involved. Well, that one's gone. I'll have to grab my other one. We'll switch back to tea. Because it is so cold, these heaters almost never shut off. I've got 3 running this morning. One of them directly on me, because every time I go outside, I come back in shivering and I park myself in front of one of the heaters and just warm up. As a kid, we used to have, we had central heating. I lived in Northern California and Reno after we moved out of LA in Hollywood. And it'd get cold up there, so central heating, the heat comes out of the floor vents. The ones that come out of the ceiling are dumb. This hot air rises. They should be coming out of the floor. As kids, we'd go get a blanket, curl ourselves up into it, and sit on top of a heating vent and let it fill up full of hot air. And look at the 2 feet of snow outside. Yep. Okay, he reaffirmed the existing constitutional right to free speech. He's basically banned all censorship in the government. Now, obviously, top secret stuff, that's normal. But just to ban it because you don't like it, you can't do that anymore. He reversed the withdrawal of Cuba's designation as a state of sponsor of terror. Biden removed that, and they continue to sponsor terror because that's what they wanted. Evil people. He reversed sanctions on Israeli settlers because Biden put sanctions on Israel. Rolled back policy on artificial intelligence. Biden had all kinds of stuff in there that they've gotten rid of. Reversed the family reunification task force. Again, but this was for woke stuff. This is to make sure your kids get to change sexes and all this other stuff. That's what this was for. The names are deceptive. He designated Mexican drug cartels as foreign terrorist organizations. He attempted to end the birthright citizenship for new children of undocumented immigrants. We have the 14th Amendment, so that's not an easy thing to do. I think he worded it in such a way as to not go against that, because, I mean, he's not stupid, but it's been challenged. But it's been challenged at a lower court, so everything, he never got rid of Biden's judges. There's still Biden judges everywhere. Now, they're going to be fired and or replaced. But he hasn't done that yet, so everything's going to have to go to the Supreme Court. He didn't ban TikTok, but he gave a moratorium on banning them for, I think, 75 or 90 days, something like that. He declared a national emergency on the southern border, allowing him to deploy U.S. troops down there. He sent, I think, up to 4,000 troops to the border. And he effectively closed the border to all incoming traffic. The border fence is back under construction. A federal judge a while back blocked Biden's attempt to sell the fence material at 5 cents on the dollar, whatever it was. Just get rid of it so that way they'd have to buy it back at twice if they want to continue building. A federal judge blocked that. And again, like I said, he ordered troops to the border. Okay, he did other things. He just released the sealed JFK and MLK, if you don't know who they are, Google them, files that were sealed. Why were they sealed? Because the government was involved. The CIA ordered John F. Kennedy killed. And they didn't want that to come out. I don't know about Martin Luther yet. The family says they would like to see the files first before they go public, but they didn't say they couldn't go public. So that's a courtesy that the government probably should do. He's also suspending U.S. Refugee Administration Program, effective on the 27th. It will get a 90-day review and then decide what they do. They're probably going to, they may keep it, but they're going to fix it. Pardon so far, he's gone in and he pardoned all the January 6th participants who were accused of federal crimes. It was a setup, and they know it. Nobody was killed, but the media reported that they killed people. Lying media caused all that. He's pardoned them all. They shouldn't have been put in jail in the first place. There was a young woman who was reading the Bible in front of an abortion clinic. She was arrested. He pardoned her. I don't remember her name. You might Google that. Okay, the new Department of Justice announced that any government official attempting to block the new laws and pardons will face possible arrest and definitely prosecution. A lot of the states, especially the sanctuary state, says, we're not going to cooperate. Come and arrest us. The head of the DOJ said, okay, sweet and simple. We will arrest you. Good. California knows that they're on the way out. They're not going to get away with it. So should the people in Chicago and Detroit and New York also know that. Now, one quick thing, a little rabbit trail off to the side. I was watching a deal on internet. New York passed a law, or it's about to go into effect. I think it's already been passed, but it hasn't started yet. That any provider with over 20,000 members in their service in New York, they have to have a, stop biting me, they have to have a reduced rate of, I think, $15 per month for their service for people who don't have income, money to pay for it. AT&T basically said, okay, your new law, we don't like it, we're pulling out of New York. Now, I don't like AT&T, but that's a smart move. They all should do that. Starlink basically says, we don't have that many in New York subscribers yet. We will just put a ban on reaching that limit. So anybody else who's applying in there, you're going to go on a permanent waiting list. They're trying to do everything they can to disrupt. And they're going to get away with it for a little while. But everybody knows what they're doing. All right, he's talked about tariffs. Pretty much, the smart countries have said, don't worry about the tariffs, we have time to negotiate. Mexico said they would help, but they got to do a lot more help. Most of the drugs come in through Mexico and Canada, but more so through Mexico. The Chinese cartels that are producing drugs like fentanyl are producing tons of it and sending it through Mexico into the United States. So he's already said he's going to put a 25% tariff on China just for that alone on incoming products. He's probably going to do more, but at least that, just because of the drugs. And if Mexico doesn't help stop it, he will add tariffs there. They've already said that they can use the state as a dumping ground to get rid of the people. So they've already come out and said they don't want tariffs. Canada and Greenland have both said that they want to be states. Please adopt us. We don't like our current government. Greenland would probably be a good deal because we've already got military bases there. And if we don't take it, China or Russia might. So we got to be careful. We don't want them that close. And of course, the Saudis promised $600 billion in investment in the U.S. after he talked about participation. A lot of the, like the European, NATO and some of the other organizations that are supposed to be for defense, most countries don't participate. The United States does. I think out of the 30 or so participants, only 6 participate. Trump said that's going to end. He said the United Nations is a joke. We're going to deal with that soon. I don't know what he's going to do. Frankly, he should kick them out, and they should come up with a new organization, one that's friendly to the West, because they hate the West, they hate Israel. He's also going to sanction the world court system, the one that's been voting against Israel. Okay, so we got a whole bunch of directions coming out of here. I copied some of this stuff down. So I'm just going to read what I copied down. He's going to direct the Attorney General of Homeland Security to create a Homeland Security Task Force in all 50 states, comprising of state and local law enforcement charged with ending the presence of criminal cartels, foreign gangs, and transnational criminal organizations. We know they're here. We have already seen some of them cause their havoc, and some of them have been arrested. Some of them are probably the ones lighting the fires in California. And as long as they're still here, it's going to continue. Okay, so the bullet list here is give the Homeland Security a wide latitude to establish agreements with individual state and local law enforcement agencies to maximum extent permitted by law, to empower those non-federal officials to act as federal immigration officers, to act in behalf of the federal government, to require collection of DNA samples and fingerprints from immigrant detainees under a 2005 federal law. Biden was ignoring that. Forbid so-called catch and release, which allows them to remain in the country while awaiting immigration court proceedings, which never happen. And when they happen, they can't find the people. They're just going to be deported. Direct Homeland Security to immediately devote resources and secure contractors to construct, operate, control facilities to detain and remove aliens. So they're going to make a bigger deal about the border facilities. In so-called parole programs, which often referred to as family reunification, that allow family members of certain citizens to immigrate from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, Venezuela, to come to the United States while their visa applications are still pending. Speed up the pending process if they're legitimate. I welcome foreigners legitimately coming to this country, and I believe the president does so. We are a land of free people, and we want more free people. But don't bring your... They emptied prisons and sent them across the border from a number of countries. Bad. Require a review of all cases for all immigrants now in the U.S. under temporary protected status, with the stated intent of ensuring that such designations are appropriately limited to and in scope, and the last minimum amount of time necessary to fulfill the textual requirement of federal law. Revert to vetting and screening standards used during Trump's first term for any person seeking a visa or immigration benefit or any kind, and apply the standard visa vetting procedures to any refugee or stateless individual seeking admission. Repeal the Biden order requiring planning for the effects of climate change on world migration patterns. I think he's going to try to repeal pretty much every Biden order. Just goes with the territory. Direct the Secretary of State and U.S. diplomats to effectively to threaten sanctions against any nation seen as reluctant to accept and facilitate the return of its citizens to the U.S. Deports. Direct the State Department, Homeland Security, and others to review and recommend changes to vetting for visas that produce a report to the President within 60 days. The order calls for identifying countries for which vetting and screening information is so deficient as to warrant a partial or full suspension of admission to the U.S. for their citizens. If you don't vet the people in your country, you can't send them here. Order a review of fentanyl flows into the U.S., specifically from Canada, Mexico, and China, where it's originating. Make recommendations including potential tariffs and sanctions. Direct the Commerce and Trade Secretaries and the U.S. Trade Representatives to consolidate multiple reviews and assessments. Trump ordered consolidation reports by April 1st. Suspend U.S. participation in the global tax deal. This World Economic Forum and their leaders were setting, limits to what each country should be doing, so we're all the same. And we all learn to goose step properly. Of course, the media was attacking Musk and others for their Hitler salutes when he goes, "I want to help all of you." And they froze it out in front and said, "He's using the Hitler sign." Lying media. CNN basically is firing, I think they said 200, and they're moving their top guy to someplace else, who I think is resigning because he doesn't want the job. CNN probably is going to either be bought out or disappear. I don't mind them being bought out, but they got to make sure that we know that Soros came in and bought 400 radio stations under Biden. It should have taken them 5 years to get permits to do that, and they did it in 2 months. They need to go through and review that. They're also reviewing Biden's ability to pardon everybody he pardoned on the way out. And if they can say that he was incapable of making those decisions properly, then everything is nullified. Streamline fossil fuel extraction in Alaska and other places. He's going to reopen the pipelines eventually. Rescind, revoke, revise, amend, defer to grant exemptions for any and all regulatory actions relevant to the state. Specifically, Trump is restoring any suspended fossil fuel leases within the Arctic National Refuge. Deny a pending U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service request to create an indigenous sacred site within the Arctic National Refuge. He's going to do this pretty much everywhere the government has tried to seize control under whatever grounds. Restore the first Trump administration rules on hunting and trapping. Order Interior Department to align federal rules on hunting and trapping. Roll back the Biden-era limits on regulations on fossil fuels on federal lands. Make the Outer Continental Shelf ineligible for wild energy leases, another limitation on non-fossil fuel development. Re-engage in legal regulatory battle with California state government over water. They've had a battle for some time over who owns the water. And Newsom wouldn't buy into doing anything right that they've been doing for years, and that's why that reservoir was empty for the fires. But that coincided with the time for the burning. They made sure the reservoir was empty when the burning started. Trump wants to override fish and wildlife protection efforts to route more of the water to Central Valley in Southern California. What he wants to do and gets to do, I don't know. Everything is going to be challenged. They're going to sue him. I think Elon Musk said he's up to 6 lawsuits. He's got enough money to fight them all. Trump on Tuesday talked up a joint venture investing $500 billion in infrastructure for artificial intelligence by new partnerships formed by OpenAI, Oracle, and SoftBank. Digital money. Trump is good in what he's trying to do, but he's also going to make sure that we advance God's timeline. And digital money's coming. It's Satan's timeline, but God is obviously in control. So he lets Satan do limited things, and digital money is one of them. This new entity, Stargate, will start building out data centers and the electricity generated needed for further development of the fast evolving AI in Texas. The initial investment will be $100 billion and could reach 5 times that sum. And Trump said it's big money and high quality people. Musk knows how to do that. And what's AI going to do? Well, they're going to come up with an AI program that will look at your DNA and customize drugs for you. We do these all the time where we create something, and we hand them out, and a certain percentage of people, it makes them sick and might even kill them. But it helps the vast majority, so they go ahead and keep the vaccine out there. Well, they're going to do what they can to customize it. They're also going to be involved in banking, digital money, cryptocurrency. Okay, there's more, but I'm trying to keep this, we're already approaching my 30-minute limit. I'm trying to keep this within normal limits. You can Google executive orders, what Trump has done so far in 2025. Google it if you want to read some of this. I had to go to a number of different sites because not one site seems to be covering it, but just start clicking on the links and you can see this if you're not getting your fill here. And we're just getting started. I'm doing this on the 24th. I can't read without my glasses. I'm recording this on the 24th. So this is the 4th day. This is part of the first week. And we're not done yet. Now, Congress has already passed the, Riley Act. They tried to block it. The Democrats tried to block it. Evil Democrats. These are not the Democrats of your father. These are Socialist World Economic Forum Democrats, and they need to be replaced. But the Republicans have control right now, so they can, and we have the vice president to override vetoes, so they should get all this stuff situated. I'm going to go outside and fill up my water jugs. I can't have water in this trailer yet because it's too cold. The bottom is falling out of the trailer. Not the flooring, but there's a covering on the bottom, and cold air is getting in there, and the water lines are just going to freeze. They already have to a degree, so I'm going to have to look at fixing some of that. That's all the stuff I get to fix. I'll work on that once it warms up. I also don't have gas heat in here yet, propane heat, because I've been cleaning it out. There were wasp nests all in it, and I got that cleaned out. I got to go get a tank here in the next few days. I don't want to light the furnace until the ranger's here, so I have somebody with me in case there's a problem. Shouldn't be, but it hasn't been run in 3 years. There's little things inside I got to fix. They use plastic on the heat registers on the floor, and a lot of them are broken. There's nothing I can do but just simply see if we can find replacements, and if we can, put them in there. I'd rather find metal ones Why they've got plastic, I don't know, because they're breaking. A number of them have been taped up. The person that was in here before put plastic over all the ceiling vents and had tape over all the outside vents to keep the bees out. You just simply have bug spray, and you watch. If you see a bee go in, as I'm looking outside along with Kitty, the lake is still frozen over. It appears to be, they were starting to see some openings yesterday. And that's all frozen over again today because it was in the teens this morning. We're supposed to get to 45 again. I don't know if we're going to make it, but if it gets to 32 or 33, it'll start melting, especially when the sun's on it. The snow on the grass is pretty much gone in any place where the sun's hitting. Stay safe, stay warm. Things are looking up, but don't be misled. Remember when it talks about when you have peace and safety, be aware, look up. Talking to the country of Israel, but we should all be aware. Peace and safety doesn't mean that the devil's not up to something. In fact, it usually means he is. So, be aware, be prepared, and I'll see you in the clouds. God bless.